He told her that if she left, he was going to take her daughter and he would cut up her face so no other man would want her. This, I know, frightened her, and she was already vulnerable, having lived with psychological abuse for so many years. She thought he would do it, so she stayed. He controlled what she bought, did, where she went. She had to account for every penny and every minute of her day. However, he was free to go at will and spend at will. An added pressure, which further attributed to the crumbling marriage, took place in 2001. Carolyn was injured in a car accident, which left her in constant pain. This was more than she could handle at this time. However, she continued to work until 2003, when her doctor forced her to take time off. So because Carolyn wasn't working, Reg felt he didn't have to either. This compounded the financial strains that they were under at that time. In 2003, as a result of Carolyn's car accident, she survived a pulmonary embolism. The morning that she was taken to the hospital, Reg refused to get up. He didn't believe there was anything wrong with her. So she proceeded to walk down to my mother's house to get her to take her. When the neighbors saw the shape she was in, he drove her down to my mother's house and they called an ambulance. It was a miracle that she survived. The odds were stacked against her. Reg showed up at the hospital later that evening, offering little support and no empathy to his wife. She still chose to stay in that relationship. 8 months later, she was in bed when a fire destroyed their home. She could smell the smoke, and Reg had been down in the garage working on vehicles. She saw that the garage was engulfed in flames. She called for Reg, and he met her at the top of the stairs, and they escaped unharmed. They were forced to move back into Carolyn's first home, which was a mobile home that sat on my parents' property. The close quarters in this living arrangement fueled the verbal and mental abuse. Reg's addiction to alcohol continued, and when that wasn't enough, he added cocaine to the mix. The next scary episode came to my attention in March or April of the same year. I picked Lacey up from a ball game after school, and she started to cry in the back seat of my car. She didn't want to go home. She told us that her father had been drunk and on drugs the evening before, and he threatened to kill her and her mother. I took Lacey to my house and I called my sister right away, and I told her what Lacey had told me. She said, "I'll keep her safe. I promise I'll keep her safe." And she convinced Lacey to go back home. At that point, Lacey's being drawn into the abuse. She was telling Carolyn that she needed to leave, that she had her bag packed and she wanted her mom to go. But she didn't have the strength to leave at that point because her pain was so overwhelming. She finally decided to leave in about July of 2007. She started seeking help through a lawyer. But every time she would make an appointment and try to get to it, Reg would follow her. She would have to call my mother and have my mother cancel the appointment and let the lawyer know she couldn't get there. Shortly after that, Reg found a list of the assets that she was listing to go through for the divorce. On October 11th, he put all of her belongings into her vehicle and removed $100,000 from their bank account. And when I got home that evening from work and I found this out, I told Carolyn it was time to call the police. That evening, I went with Carolyn to recover the vehicle and her belongings, only to find out that Reg had taken the insurance off the vehicle and the police wouldn't let her leave with it. They negotiated with him to let her take his vehicle. We had to move everything from her vehicle into his vehicle. And as we were moving that stuff, she said, "What is it going to take for something to happen here?" And these words that she said haunt me to today. She says, "Is it going to take someone to be murdered for something to happen?" These words still haunt me today. Please don't let this happen to someone you love or someone in your family.